Sup guys? So seems like we got more Marvel news. I guess it's coming from the Comic Wonder. He put out some more news for us. So the title of the video is called Spider-Man 4 Huge Update, Thor 4 Trailer 2, and Daredevil News. So let's see what he put out, or what news he had, what news he let's just check the video out.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk all things Marvel and MCU. I'm your host, Warren Thompson, and today we have some Spider-Man 4 updates. I'm talking about two different Spider-Man 4s. We have updates today about two different Spider-Man 4s. One, of course, about our current MCU Spider-Man, Tom Holland, and Zendaya returning along with Jacob Batalon, and the other Spider-Man 4, of course, being the Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 4. We also have some details about the official runtime for Thor: Love and Thunder, not to mention when that second trailer is going to be coming. Should be coming next week, but we'll talk about that in a bit.
I wonder why it's taking so long for the trailer to come out. I mean, the movie is going to come out on July.
In the works, and we know
so
a
it makes
little
you kind of wonder,
about what to expect from that, including what other shows Daredevil is going to tie into. We'll break down all of this awesome news in this video, and of course, if you're new, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Marvel news. So, the first Spider-Man 4 that we'll talk about is the one that is with Tom Holland, Zendaya, Jacob Batalon, and Jon Watts directing. Now, this is kind of interesting because this new report states that Sony wants Jon Watts back to direct the future Spider-Man films. However, recently, according to our knowledge, Jon Watts backed out of directing the Fantastic Four because he needed a break from superhero films. But Sony seems to be fairly confident that Jon Watts is going to come back to direct the next Spider-Man film. And according to Sony, they want to start working on it soon. And this information is actually coming directly from the source, as direct as it can get, with Sony chairman Tom Rothman doing an interview with Deadline. They talked about a lot in this interview, but then Deadline went on to talk about those who doubted Sony's strategy and underestimated their franchise's strength, in which Rothman replied that they have Uncharted, Jumanji, Spider-Man. He says, "We have our Marvel business, which breaks into three trenches. There are the Spider-Man movies, and we're currently at work on two Spider-Verse sequels to our Oscar-winning animated movie with Lord Miller." And then he says, "We hope to get working on the next Spider-Man movie," in which Deadline then asked him, with Jon Watts, Tom Holland, and Zendaya returning, and Rothman replied with, "That whole group, we hope." Side note, he also goes into a little bit of the other projects.
I'm sure.
Then there are movies I would call adjunct to the Spider-Man universe. We're
not going to say no to that.
Which we're shooting now, and Madam Web, which will start in the spring with S.J. Clarkson directing. And then there are many Marvel characters that are standalone. So it looks like Sony has quite a bit of plans for their Marvel Spider-Man universe. But obviously the biggest takeaway here is that Sony wants to start on the next Spider-Man film soon. And they hope, and probably expect, Tom Holland, Zendaya, Jacob Batalon to return, but also Jon Watts to possibly direct the next trilogy.
So they want Mysterio to come back.
Trilogy, so I'm sure people would love to have him back. And if they're going to continue the same story that Spider-Man No Way Home left off with, it would be great to have him back. And it looks like that's their plan. They are going to stick to continuing the story of everybody forgetting who Peter Parker was, including...
Which makes sense, because why would they scratch off the No Way Home story and the Far From Home story and Homecoming story?
So for those of you who are wondering if Zendaya is going to return as MJ and Jacob returning as Ned, it looks like they are. And I'm going to assume that at whatever end this comes to, whether
everybody knows that
3 Spider-Man films or just...
they're part of the story.
Whatever it is going to end with MJ and Ned remembering who Peter Parker
is. Like if
Zendaya
and the other guy, if they weren't gonna go and play their character again, they can find somebody else that can play it in some different
generations of Spider-Man. Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire. Fans have just been loving it, and a bunch of reports came out after the movie was released that have been stating that Sony wants and has plans for Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Possibly wanting to give us a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire. After all, Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire were supposed to do 4 Spider-Man films, but they only got to do 3. And Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire opened up about that and said that it was pretty hard on them. Now Sam Raimi is back directing for Marvel. Of course, he recently directed Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And now a lot of people are wondering if he could possibly direct the MCU Spider-Man now. Perhaps direct the next Tom Holland trilogy. However, Sam Raimi says that he is not going to be directing directing any Tom Holland Spider-Man films. Now, it's not because he doesn't like Tom Holland as Spider-Man or he doesn't like those films. It's actually because he loves and respects Tobey Maguire too much. In a recent interview with the Los Angeles Times,
so it sounds like he wants to finish up
for opening up the multiverse,
the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man story. He wants to continue
directing. He also had really great things to say about Tom Holland and the direction.
I actually love from Spider-Man 1 all the way to Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man. And I love
if I could pick the out of those three, the best one in my opinion, probably Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2.
And I love that. I love that he started it.
I like Spider-Man 3. Certain things that it kind of make me bored. But I gotta tell you this though, that Venom Spider-Man, that costume, man, that looks pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie. I was a fan of that black and gray suit that Spider-Man was wearing. It looked pretty badass.
Marvel is up for it. In the same interview, he said, "I don't know if Marvel would be interested in that right now. I don't know what their thoughts are about that. I haven't really pursued that, but it sounds beautiful. Even if it wasn't a Spider-Man movie, I'd love to work with Tobey again in a different role." This is great news because in all of the interviews after Spider-Man No Way Home was released, Tobey Maguire said that right now he's up for anything. So it looks like Sam.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, he's been in
for Spider-Man.
I had an active field for quite a while, and it's like my Hollywood mainstream. So
I personally really hope this happens.
Of course, he would.
There were a lot of reports and a lot of talk after the movie was released, stating that this is a big possibility and that the studios are actually talking about it, which would make sense because Spider-Man No Way Home was a massive success. So fingers crossed that things work out for both Spider-Man 4s. Now for some Thor Love and Thunder news, in case you haven't heard, there are some big reports out there stating that the Thor Love and Thunder second trailer should be coming this Monday. Now as far as what time it could drop, I believe the first trailer dropped at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So if they're planning on dropping it as the same time that they dropped the first trailer, that's when you can expect it, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Also, this is not a final confirmation and things could always change, but according to the website cineworld.co.uk, the runtime for Thor Love and Thunder is going to be 140 minutes. So 2 hours and 20 minutes long. Again, this could always change and may not be accurate, but this is listed on their official site. Now, of course, to finish this off, we have to talk about the big news. Marvel Studios is officially developing a Daredevil Disney Plus series.
As long as it's good, though, I'm down for it. As long as it's good. If it ain't good, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be a disappointing. I'll be a disappointing Marvel fan.
It's been rumored for a while now, and of course, we saw him in Spider-Man No Way Home. And according to some old reports, we're actually supposed to see Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock/Daredevil in the MCU a few times before the series actually comes out. Now, we know we're going to be seeing him in the She-Hulk series. Jennifer Walters is a New York lawyer, so is Matt Murdock. And they both represent superheroes. So it just makes sense that their paths would cross at least a little bit. But then we just got word that the Echo series, of course, is coming to the MCU, which we knew about, but has now been officially announced. And if you know anything about Daredevil and Echo in the comics, they're lovers. They are really, really important to each other. Plus, not to mention, the main villain of the Echo series should be Kingpin.
So there's a storyline between them two. There's a history together.
Some reports, the events of the Echo series are actually going to lead into the Daredevil series. So it sounds like he's going to be in Echo as well. And hopefully this all eventually leads to a big fight against Kingpin with Spider-Man, with She-Hulk, with Echo, and Daredevil. Ultimately, I hope it leads to a true Sinister Six fight. They could have 5 other heroes joining Spider-Man to fight the Sinister Six. And that's it for our awesome Marvel news this week. Be sure to let me know what you are most excited about in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more Marvel content. For live updates, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.
Well, good job as usual, Mr. Comic Wonder. Good job. Good job putting up more of these news. Keep up coming, and I'll be checking them out. You know, so you know, I think as far as like Spider-Man 4, I mean, it's not surprising to me. It sounds like that Sammy is gonna continue directing Spider-Man 4, which I'd be looking forward to it because I'm a fan of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I grew up watching Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, so for him to continue on this this story of Tobey Maguire Spider-Man itself, I mean, it's nostalgia for me. You know what I mean? You know, and especially like if I'm not mistaken, I mean they left the story itself open because I mean we know that Harry is dead and then you know the Sandman is already you know technically he's a good guy, so you know I mean it'd be interesting to see what happens all those times when Spider-Man was going through a grief, you know, losing his friend Harry and you know, then you know, of course, Uncle Ben and stuff like that. So it would have been interesting. I'd be looking forward to it. You know, I always want to know, since you know that we have the multiverse, what if maybe we can have each Spider-Man get involved in their movie? So kind of like how No Way Home, you know, you had Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man be involved in Tom Holland's Spider-Man movie. Why not have each, you know, like say like Spider-Man 4, you know, you can bring, you know, not only obviously Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, but you can also put in Tom Holland Spider-Man or maybe Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. They can somehow be involved in that universe, or maybe both of them. They could be involved in that universe, and in like in the next Andrew Garfield movie, it'll be, you know, the same thing. You know what I mean? I think that'd have been cool. I think that'd have been really, really cool. You know, so, you know, we'll see what happens with Thor, you know, Love and Thunder. You know, it makes you wonder, like I said, why it took so long to to release this trailer. Which I'm sure it's probably gonna come out on Monday as well. You know, which is, you know, 10 o'clock in the morning, as Colin Wonder said. So, you know, I wonder is it maybe because they think that the fans might not enjoy Thor Love and Thunder? You know, it just makes you kind of wonder. Like I said, as long as it's good, I'm okay. Even if it's decent, I'll still be good. But, you know, as long as it's not woke, as long as, you know, woke, meaning like, you know, politics and the movement and all that shit that's shoved it down our throat. As long as it's not in there, I'm good. And of course, if there's not too many sense of humor in there. I'm cool with sense of humor, just when it's overkill. That's where I don't care for. You know what I mean? You know, like I know that, you know, Chris Hemsworth, he likes to, I get who Thor, like, you know, he likes to have a little sense of humor, it's a little cocky here and there. But a lot of times, you know, Thor, when it's time to take care of business, you know, it's time to get serious. There's no fooling around, you know what I mean? So, we'll see what happens, man. As Marvel, you know, it seems like so far it's going good. So far it's going okay. So far it's, you know, so far it's going. I think it's going good. You know, let's see, man. Let's see what happens with Thor and Spider-Man, and let's see more upcoming news and movies. You know, and as far as like Daredevil, honestly, like Daredevil, I never really watched. You know, Daredevil. Daredevil to me, I wasn't really much of a fan, or I never really cared for it like I did with Captain America and Iron Man and Spider-Man and Thor. So, you know, and you know what, I don't know this too. I want to know if we're gonna have a Tom Holland Spider-Man, right? Which eventually I know they're gonna continue on with the story of No Way Home, because it wouldn't make sense for them to scratch off, you know, the continuation of the story and just basically just be like its own fucking movie, because to me it wouldn't make sense. But anyway, I want to know if Daredevil's going to be involved in the Spider-Man movie too, because I mean technically he was in the No Way Home as, you know, as Peter's lawyer, but I would wish he can, you know, at least we can see some action from Daredevil, you know? I think the fans will love to see it. I think the fans wouldn't mind seeing it. You know what I mean? So, you know, let me know what you guys think of these news articles, and let me know what you guys think of Thor and Spider-Man and all those Daredevils and everything else that's coming into the Marvel Universe. And if you enjoy this video, you can go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe and share, and make sure you guys click on the notification bell so that way you guys can get more upcoming videos in the near future. And if there's any videos you guys want me to do a reaction or do a challenge, or you got questions or whatever, you can always just leave it in the comment section down below. Alright guys, well, until next time, peace out.